Good Erev Shabbos to everybody. It's good to be back on camera again. Another week of a lot of progress, a lot of movement, a lot of life, Baruch Hashem, here in Yeshiva. A lot of rain here in Eretz Yisrael. So as per our Shmuz last week, Baruch Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu continue to shower us with the bracha. Hopefully we will live up to appreciate it and continue to strengthen our commitment to tefillah, as we spoke about. To continue on the topic of tefillah a little bit with a little bit of a different angle. Unfortunately, as I'm sure you're all aware of, we suffered here in Eretz Yisrael a few tragic piguim over the course of the week in Yerushalayim and other places with terrorists doing their craziness and killing people, unfortunately, and injuring other people. And a thought that I had last year, Parshas Lech Lecha, ironically, but to tie it into this week's Parsha as well. We know that last week's Parsha, Parshas Va'yairah, in Parshas Lech Lecha, obviously Sarai had not had any children, Avram and Sarai had not had any children yet, and the pasuk tells us that Sarai goes to Avram with a very interesting idea and says, "Vatikach v'taimer Sarai al Avram hinina atzarani Hashem yiledes bainel shivchasi ulai yibaneh mimena," and gives Avram the suggestion to marry Hagar, and that's what Avram does, and has Yishmael eventually from there. And Rashi explaining what's ulai ibaneh mimena, how is this going to help, what was the idea? And Rashi says, b'schus sha'achnes tzarasi l'sach beisi, in the schus that I'm bringing a tzara is when a woman, a wife, brings in another wife into the marriage, into the house, and therefore it creates a certain competition, a certain sinna, a certain tension. In the zechus that I'm doing, that hopefully will build me. That's what Rashi says. Rashi doesn't explain. The Pashup Pshat Rashi obviously is bringing a tzara into the house will maybe motivate me to daven more, to daven harder, or the fact that I'm willing to be Mercer Nefesh and allow someone else to have my Avram as their husband. Maybe it'll be a zechusmi that Hashem will grant me. Whatever the Pshat is, that's Rashi in the Pashup Pshat. And learning this pasuk last year, the year before, it hit me a very, very interesting point that I think is very, very chashuv for us to think about. This idea, ulai ibaneh mimena, how is it going to help Tachlis, besides Rashi's Pashup Pshat? How is it going to help build Sarah? And the point that stuck out at me was that somehow this is bringing Hagar into the house is going to build her. As we'd say, and it would motivate her, it would egg her on. What's the Pshat? What came from this marriage of Avram and Hagar? Came Yishmael. Zot Ameret, as we'd say in Eretz Yisrael, what this means to really say to us is that Yishmael's existence was a byproduct of this idea that through Hagar being married to Avram and having a child, which is Yishmael, eventually this will motivate Sarah this somehow, and she'll be Zaycha to Yitzchak, which means our existence in this world is the result of Yishmael's existence, and Yishmael's existence is for the sole purpose of motivating us and encouraging us and egging us on and lighting a fire under us and being mizariz us to some level. And if you stop and think about that, it's a powerful message of an insight into the reality of the world we live in right now. Yishmael, and Yishmael stands for the nation of Yishmael that we struggle and suffer from nowadays, with all their craziness, has certain, on external level, certain miles and certain strong points that I think that the message is that they're here in order for us to learn from them. That's their existence. Different than Yaakov and Esav, that's the other enemy that we have, where, as Chazal tell us, based on the Psukim, Kishazek comes Zeh Neufel, and Esav does have the ability to be on the top. He has an existence and he takes away from us when we're not. There's a struggle. Elam Hazar, Elam Abba, Yaakov and Esav, the two twins, the Bechaira, the Chulu, the Brachas. Yishmael is not about himself. Yishmael is just here to encourage us on, in so many different areas. We know that the Yishmaelim have a kayach tefillah, whether it's for right or for wrong, they daven 5 times a day, and they'll stop, especially living in Eretz Yisrael, they'll stop wherever they are and they'll spread themselves out and start davening. A dedication to their tefillah. We have an Indian of Mesiras Nefesh, unfortunately, in a crazy way. It's not the right one, obviously, Mesiras Nefesh, willing to give their lives for their beliefs, for whatever shtiyot that they may believe in, but this Mesiras Nefesh that they have. The idea of chesed, always hearing that they'll serve you a beautiful 20-course meal and stab you on the way out. The idea of chesed also is there. The idea of tznius we've seen also. They have a lot of qualities, or seemingly, but all those qualities are there. All those qualities are there to show us and to encourage us to be better, and to light a fire under us and say, if they can be dedicated to that tefillah and daven if ands or buts, if they can fast for an entire month and go without food, if they could be dedicated to tznius on their level, if they could be so mussar to their belief and willing to give their life, It's there to light a fire under us in order for us to daven stronger and daven more focused and be more committed to our Mesiras Nefesh, for our Kadosh Baruch Hu and our Tznius and our Chesed, etc., etc. That's what Yishmael's Muhus is. That's why Kadosh Baruch Hu created the Yishmael, and that's what we're supposed to take from them. We're supposed to not learn from them. We're supposed to see their actions, their avodah, and try to be better because of what we see. And in this week's Parsha L'Charis, Chazal tell us Akedas Yitzchak, which obviously Akedas Yitzchak L'Zara Hayom Berachim Tizkar, that this is the Kayach, the Zchus of Akedas Yitzchak we're still living with. According to Chazal, how did it come to be? Achrei Advar Me'ela Ve'Lekim Nisas Avram. One of the reasons was Yishmael was making fun of Yitzchak. What's the big deal? You had a bris milah at 8 days old. I had a bris milah at 13. Once again, Yishmael egging us on, trying to be Mizaris, and because of that, Yitzchak said, if I would have you just gave one Erev, if I had the ability to be Meister my entire life, and the Atkeda came from there. As we see from here again this point, that Yishmael's existence and everything about them is there for us. As David HaMelech said, we're supposed to learn from our enemies, and this is the message, and maybe this is a way that we can somehow be soivel, and be able to deal with their destructive nature in the world we live in now, is to say HaKadosh Baruch Hu put them in the world for one purpose only, to motivate us to be better. And if we can't get rid of them and we don't have a solution for them, at least we can worry about ourselves. And in these parshas here of Yishmael and of Yitzchak coming to be, and especially as I just said, Akedah really coming as a result of this motivation tactic through Yishmael egging on Yitzchak, Kadosh Baruch Hu should give us the kayach to see and to deal with the tsaros that we have, but to learn from what they do to be better at our avodas Hashem, our gemilas chasadim, our tznius, our dedication to tefillah, our dedication to separating from the silliness of sometimes of Olam Hazeh for the purpose of things of more ruchnius level. And we should go into Shabbos being more mechuzak and trying to just strengthen ourselves, and through our own dedication, our own tefillah, and our own avodas Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should see that we're trying to improve ourselves and give us the zechusim of the Akedas Yitzchak over this Shabbos in order to give us that zechus to overcome all the difficulties. It should be a wonderful Shabbos, and we look forward to seeing you again.